Hello everyone, welcome to Infra Experts. In this post, we will see how to build RDS using Terraform. Before proceeding with this session, I will request you to go through my AWS RDS course to know the basic of RDS and its associated option groups and parameter groups, because you will be needing those while creating your RDS. Option groups and parameter groups are very much important to know. Here, like our previous session, we will be using Terraform AWS module to create an RDS in an existing VPC. With respect to the configuration files, we will be having 01 generic variables, 02 versions.tf, main.tf and outputs.tf. These four configuration files will be having, out of which there won't be any changes with the versions configuration file. If you want, you can change the generic variables files, or if you do not want, you can just go ahead and hard code your commands in the main.tf for some inputs which will be showing as we proceed with the course. So there won't be any modifications to this versions.tf, and if you want, there you can also not modify the generic variables configuration file. So before proceeding, let us first go through the provider section of the AWS DB instance. So here we are in our AWS DB instance provider resource. So as you can see in here, in this basic usage, you can proceed with this example itself to create your RDS resource. You can check the supported arguments which are mentioned in here, and then you can proceed accordingly, like allocate a storage, how much storage you want to proceed with, allowed major version upgrade. This indicates this is also optional. This one is required. The allocated storage is required one, which we need to put. As you can see in here also, it should be there. Yes, it is there. Similarly, for these are the optional parameters. This indicates that the major version upgrades are allowed. Changing this parameter does not result in an outage, and the change is asynchronously applied as soon as possible. Similarly, you can give this availability zone parameter if you want, which is also optional. The auto minor version upgrade, that is also optional, but it indicates that minor engine upgrades will be applied automatically to the DB instance during the maintenance window, and the default is true. So if you are not putting it, so the auto minor version upgrade will occur on its own. You can give the backup retention period also. The backup window also you can put in here. Then the character set name, the DB subnet group, DB automated deletion protection. There are many parameters which you can put. The engine version which you want to put in here, that also you can go ahead. The identifier, which is the name of the RDS instance. If omitted, Terraform will assign a random unique identifier. Similarly, there are many more arguments which you can check from here and you can put accordingly. One more thing, skip final snapshot. What is this? So let us check it in here. Skip final snapshot. This determines whether a final database snapshot is created before the DB instance is deleted. By default, this is false. Means when you are going to delete the database instance, it will create a snapshot of it before deleting it. So this will be a problem if you are keeping this as default, which is false, because if you are keeping this as false, then what would happen while you are trying to delete your RDS instance through Terraform destroy command, then your destroy command will fail and it won't be completing successfully. Why is it so? Because the snapshot, the final snapshot which will be taken before the database instance is deleted, that snapshot will have the same option group which your RDS instance holds. So your option group won't be deleted and you will be getting an error that the option group is already in use. So your Terraform destroy command will be failing. That's why to proceed with this clean destroy command, which should be successful, you need to keep this skip final snapshot as true, which won't be taking any snapshot before deleting the database instance. Okay. Now let us go through some of these modules. And in here, if you see, this is the source code present in here. So this is opening, and in here you can see, like VPC, it is having these modules. These are main.tf, outputs, variables, versions. Okay, and in main.tf, if you want to see, you can see locals, then the module, and many more things are there. And as I said in my previous session, while we were going ahead with the VPC one, there were, means these many things are actually not needed for our test purpose, and it will be very much complicated. So what we will be doing, we will, like our previous session, we will be copying this provision instructions from here and we will modify accordingly. And from here, if you want to see, you can see the readme also if you want. Then how many inputs you can put? There are totally 78 inputs, 24 outputs, dependencies are 2, which is the provider dependency, and then resources it will be using our DB instance, option group, parameter group. As I said, that these are very much necessary for you to know before proceeding. Also the DB subnet group, if you have gone through my VPC course also, this is very much important. IAM role and all these are important. So I'm again saying, please go through my VPC and RDS course, the basics at least, before you proceed with the Terraform creation of RDS. Now let us do one thing. Let us first go ahead and copy the generic variables and version from our previous session. So these two I need to copy. Okay, and let me keep it in here, and let me just rename it. Let me just rename it to 01 hyphen generic variables, and this one as 02 hyphen versions. Now after these two, as I said, there are no modifications to be made in versions.tf, but if you want, you can make modifications in this generic variables.tf. I will say where you need to make the modifications, and if not needed, you can hard code it. Now what I need to do, I need to make another file which is main.tf. Okay, so in here, let me keep this as create RDS instance. Okay, and what I can do, let me just copy this modules.rds from here, and I can change this one to any name. Let me just keep it as RDS only, because it's not doing any harm. And this is the source code from where it is taken, Terraform AWS Modules RDS AWS. So from there it is taken. Okay, so it will be taking this one from here. Next, as I said, the version also, it should be equals to like this. It should be hard coded, and it should not be like this, or else there might be some changes. That's why let's keep it like this. And the first thing what I need to put in here, let me go in here and let me go to main.tf. The first thing which I need to put in here is the identifier. Okay, and let me give the identifier as infradb. And then what more things I can take? I can take the engine version, then the instance class, allocated storage, which is very much necessary. These four, let me just take it from here and paste it in here. Now the engine, we will be proceeding with creating MySQL database in here. So let me give this as MySQL. Okay, and this one, the engine version, let the engine version be 5.7.19. Fine. And the instance class, since we are running in free tier version, so for free tier version it should be db.t2.micro, and the allocated storage, let me give it as 5. Okay, next, what things are necessary? I need the name, the username, password, and also the port. Okay, let me take this and put it in here. Let me name be as infra. The username also let me put it as infra. The password let it be caps I infra 123 and the port let it be 3306. Fine. And I do not want this any issues with my RDS destruction also. That's why what I said earlier, I need to keep the skip final snapshot as true. So let me just see where it is. Skip final snapshot. So if you see in here, this is the default is false as I said earlier. Okay. So let me just skip it in here and make this as true. So it will be skipping the final snapshot while my Terraform destroys the intended resource. Let me go ahead and put some more things in here, like the backup window. Let the backup window be 0300 to 0600. Okay. And also I need to mention the maintenance window also, right? Where is the maintenance window in here? Yes, it is here. I need to mention the maintenance window because in that time itself my any outage would occur. And this will be like this in this format. Monday from 12 a.m. at night to let's say 3 a.m. at night. Fine. So this is also done. Next, what I will be doing in here, suppose in your current project environment you are already having one VPC already present. Okay, so that time what you need to do, you need to means you cannot, if you are not mentioning the VPC in here, it would take the default VPC security group. So for that reason I need to mention the VPC security group for my database. Okay, let me see whether it is here or not. Yes, VPC security group IDs. Okay, this one you need to mention in here, and then like this you need to mention the VPC security group IDs. But I will proceed in with the default one, which is the default VPC group. Okay, but one thing I need to mention, which is the DB subnet group. Okay, so in here I need to mention the subnet IDs. So let me see the subnet. Yes, this is the subnet IDs which I need to mention. Okay, so from where would I get these subnet IDs? Let me go to RDS and let me go to subnet groups, and in here this is the default one. Okay, in here these are the subnet IDs which I need to take. So this is one of them, and this is also a map where I need to mention it. Okay, and also the other subnet group I need to mention. Fine. Now comes whether you need to proceed with multi-AZ or not. By default, multi-AZ is false. Okay, by default this is false. So you need to enable it to proceed. So for that, multi-AZ equals to true. If you give this, you are hard-coding it and it will be true. But if you are planning to proceed with, here comes, means if you want you can do like this, or you can go ahead in your generic variables and you can mention a variable out here. Like, let me take it from here itself, in here, this one. So this one I can just copy it and paste it in here, and in here the default equals to, which is false, I'm making this as true and saving it. Now what I need to do in here, in this multi-AZ, I need to make it as var dot multi underscore az. Okay. So multi underscore az. This one I'm taking it in here. Okay. Fine. So here comes what I said earlier, that if you want, you can modify the generic variables and you can keep it like this. Okay. And it will be much more easier for you to check also what are the variables and all present, that you can check it from here. Now let us put the DB parameter group. Okay. So the DB parameter group should be the version. Okay. It's nothing but the version which you are planning. That is MySQL 5.7. So this is the DB parameter group I'm taking. Also, I need to mention the DB option group. Okay. And in here, the option group. So let me just take this option group name, and let me just mention the option group name which I need. This you can keep it anything you want, but make sure that you use alphanumerics and hyphens only. No other thing is allowed. Okay. So this one should be like this, and the major engine version, let me just keep it as 5.7. Fine. And now let me take the parameters. So the parameters will be taken parameters equals to name character set client value UTF-8 MB4. Fine. And let me give one more parameter group, which is character set server. Okay. Let me just copy it. So this is fine. So we are done with this. Now let's take a dig in outputs.tf 04-outputs.tf. Okay. And in here, let us go to Terraform, and from here let us go to outputs.tf, and what all things we need from here. Let's say, let us take this DB instance address. Okay. Then DB instance availability zone, the DB instance endpoint, DB instance ID. These things we need. Okay. Then what else we can put it in here? The DB instance name we can put in here. DB instance username we can put in here. And then we can put in which port it is running, the subnet group ID, the DB parameter group ID. Also one more thing I can put, although it's of no use, I can put this DB parameter, DB master password. So why I'm saying it's of no use? Because to reduce this one, sensitive equals to true it should be, which would say that you won't be in this outputs, you won't be getting the output for this password. Okay, you won't be getting the output of this password. And why is it so? This is to reduce the risk of accidentally exporting sensitive data that was intended to be only internal. This Terraform requires that any root module output containing sensitive data be explicitly marked as sensitive to confirm your intent. So now what we need to do, we need to, so our module name is RDS, right? So this one we need to change, this one to RDS. Similarly, for each and everything, we need to change this. Okay. This one is not needed actually. And this one should be DB master password. Okay. So we are fine with this. Now, since we are fine with this, let us proceed with running them. Fine. Then and in here let me run Terraform init, which will in turn load the modules. The AWS RDS modules and all those will be loading. And like our VPC section, here also it will be creating this Terraform and in which everything will be loaded. Okay, so this is done. Now let me just validate it. I hope my configuration is not fine. Okay, this is one of the problem. This is another one. What else did we get? So we are having many problem in here. Just let me run from here so that I can check. No module named RDS is declared. Okay, I missed to save it. Let me see now. Let me just run the Terraform init once more. Yes, this was the issue. I didn't save it because if you see in here, when I ran the Terraform init, it did not call the RDS in here. So that was the reason. This should be running fine now. See, you can see that it is downloading the RDS. That's why previously these were not downloaded. So this time it should work fine. So right now it is downloading. You can see from here that these everything are coming in here. Okay. So the Terraform init is done. Now let me run the Terraform validate. Still one problem is there. Let me make this as identifier as double quotes and just save it. Now let me run the Terraform validate again. This right now the configuration is successful. Now let me run the Terraform plan. So it will be creating 4 resources. Let me see what all things it will be creating. The instance with the name, with engine as MySQL, engine version as 5.7.19, auto miner version upgrade is true since I didn't put it. By default it took as true. The backup window it has been given. The allocated storage it is taken. Allowed major version upgrade since I disabled it, means I didn't put anything, it is false. The identifier name as infradb, for which we got the error since we didn't put the double quotes. The instance class as dbt2 micro. The name as infra. Multi-AZ it is true. The port as 3306. Tag name as infradb. VPC username as is infra. The option group parameter it is creating with the name this, and the DB parameter group also it is creating with character set client and character set server, which we mentioned. The DB subnet group also it is creating in here. Okay, now and these outputs will be given once our resource is built. But in here the DB instance name and port are mentioned, that's why this is coming as output. The DB instance username and password, these are sensitive values as I told earlier, that's why it will be like this only once we get the output, and others will be known after we apply. So let us proceed with applying what we did till now. So this will take some time for the RDS instance to get created. I'll just pause the video until everything is created. Okay. So it took a long time for my instance to get created. So it took around 15 minutes, nearly 16 minutes it took. And you can see here the DB instance address, availability zone, instance endpoint, hoster zone ID, instance name, port. These are sensitive as I said, and the DB parameter group ID, everything is present in here. Okay, so let us go ahead and check in our management console first. Here you can see that InfraDB database has been created. One thing you can see in here, multi-AZ first thing. This is yes, so it is fine. Master username is this, so it is fine. Then let us go in here. Let us see the maintenance and backups. Auto miner version is enabled. Monday maintenance window, this is the one, and automated backups is disabled. Next, let us see the security subnets which we provided. So are these the subnets 17 and 62, right? So let me see in here 17 and 62. Okay, the endings I'm saying. So these are fine. So my database is created successfully, I can say right now. Okay, and the storage, as I said, this is of 5 GB. As I said, the allocated storage being 5. Now let me go ahead and log into the EC2 instance, whether I'm able to log in or not. So for that, I'm sorry, pardon me, not EC2 instance, to the RDS. So for that, I need to log into the EC2 instance. From there, I can go ahead and log into my database. Okay, so fine. Now, in here, MySQL-u infra, then -p, the password, and then -h, the host name. Let me take the host name from here. Okay, this is the endpoint. Both are fine, DB instance address and this, anything we can take. Then the port. Okay, let me just log in. So I am logged into the database, to the instance, and one database is also created with the name infra over here. So now we are fine with this. Now let me go ahead, proceed to delete this, destroy this. So whenever you destroy, it will be creating one snapshot. But since in our code we already said skip final snapshot is true, so in this case it won't be creating any snapshots for my database, and it will be just proceeding with the database deletion. Okay, so let me go ahead and see whether my database is getting deleted or not. This would take some time for the database to get deleted. So this is destroying right now. You can see here the database instance ID, and this is deleting. So this concludes our session where we saw how to install, how to create RDS instance with Terraform in a multi-easy environment with default VPC and also with any VPCs which you already have. So I believe you have enjoyed this session. Please let us know in comments how was the session. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Take care.